Today marks the 60th year the U.S. Air Force has been delivering goods and supplies to some 54 Micronesian islands. It started in December 1952 when locals on the island of Kapingamarangi in Ponape waved to a crew of WB-50 flying overhead. The crew gathered what they could, packed it into a canister, attached it to a parachute, and dropped the goods to the islanders. Since then, the spirit of giving in the Micronesian region has lived on. University of Guam Assistant Professor of Systems, Networks and Services Maria Ovalis was on today's trip out of Guam for Operation Christmas Drop and shares her enthusiasm in being part of the event.
Become familiar with what they have there and some of the remoteness of the islands, and so this hopefully, like I said, reaches out to them with what they need, supplies. I've also donated some school supplies and other supplies that they've needed. That's been on the wish list, and I hope it continues because, like I said, there's always a need out there, and not just during Christmas time, but throughout the year.
Manny Hechanova with the UOG's Telecommunications and Distance Education Operation was the keynote speaker for the push ceremony. Hechanova constantly communicates with outer islands and explains to the crowd what it's like for the helicopter crew, but more importantly, for the children who anxiously await the gifts for a whole year.
Early in the morning, we'll contact the islands. They already know their schedule. They already know what day and time they're supposed to expect that aircraft to come buzzing by. Now, this is maybe about 2 hours ahead of their arrival time. They're excited. And you can imagine on a small island, Christmas drop, that the most excited people on the island are the ones that are about this tall.
At this point, he says, the children are carefully watching a flag that's floating on a buoy in the ocean. That flag, most children learn, will be the site where the loaded box of gifts will be dropped.
Like anxious kids, they're sitting on the beach waiting for that all-too-familiar sound. When you've been on an island, it's quiet. You hear the surf, you hear the waves pounding on the beach side. It's quiet, it's peaceful. But they're waiting for that one different sound that's going to break over the horizon. And they hear it. It's not who's on the rooftop of the house. It's not sleigh bells, but it's the roar of that engine breaking through. We'll come back on the radio and say, "O'Noon, copy that, flag covered, clear the drop zone." Safety first, right? Safety first, clear the drop zone. Anxious little kids want to get there as fast as they can. You got to hold them back like a rushing wave. And when that plane passes and they see the back door open and they see this little package, because from up about 500, 300 feet, it's still a little box. And they're like, there it is. And it floats right out of the back of the plane. And then a few seconds later, poof, chute opens. And they watch it float effortlessly to the ground.
The box is pulled into shore, and Hechanova says this is when children's faces can be seen grinning from ear to ear as a helicopter crew fades into the horizon, headed for their next group of children to make happy. Janela Carrera, PNC News.